Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters, and also the co-host of GD Explanations. We're having some really fun discussions over there, so please take a look when you can. Tonight we're going to be reviewing, Svengoolie aired the 1959 Hammer version of The Mummy, which bears scant resemblance to the 1932 Universal movie The Mummy. It's with Boris Karloff. It's got way more in common with the sequels than it does with this because they use Karis. They use what's the other guy's name in here? Where'd he go? Mehmet Bey, who's played by George Zuko in The Mummy's Tomb, and it even apes the end of the Mummy's Ghost. When I say apes, it pretty much the climax. It's exactly that. Having said that, it's a lot of fun. This is a scary mummy movie who's not just shuffling after you. He moves quickly. Of course, Karis is played by the late, great Christopher Lee. And of course, Peter Cushing is in it. And I did forget to put in one thing in there. But let's, before we get too much further into it, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, talk about this version. Do you prefer the Universal one? Do you prefer the Hammer one? A lot of fans are divided, but I like both Universal and Hammer for the most part. So just leave a comment. And if you can, watch a couple more minutes longer than usual. That'd be really helpful. So I am actually recording this before Sven airs it, so I'm going to guess at some of the things he's going to talk about, but we'll find out, won't we? So having said that, let's roll. So we start out here with the Hammer Film Presents. By this time, both Horror of Dracula and Curse of Frankenstein have been huge hits in both the UK and the US.
A land of strange ritual.
Let me rewind that a bit and get some music here.
Egypt, 4,000 years ago. A land of strange rituals and savage cruelty.
So I just left this in. Michael Carreras did produce the 1966 1 Million Years BC, and I do believe that Terence Fisher was the premier director over there for Hammer. He did not direct 1 Million Years BC, but that's okay. It's a different kind of movie. We will be hearing. Hopefully, I'll remember to put some more of the trailer in here as we talk about it. But we start in Egypt in 1895. Now, mummies were a big thing. When Tutankhamun was discovered and rampaged. I don't really agree with ransacking the tombs, but it's what happened. Can't go back and erase it. And then they're looking for Princess Ananka, the high priestess of the god Karnak, who is not a real deity. There is a place. The Temple of Karnak is a place. But that's not the god Anek. There's no god Anek, god Karnak, as far as I can tell. But they're looking for it. John here, played by Peter Cushing, is it John? Okay. Yeah, John Banning, which is right out of the Mummy's Tomb. They were the Bannings. So go figure, except that Lon Chaney Jr. is not in it. There's Mehmet Bey, who was played by, not Turhan Bey, pardon me. I did say George Zuko, didn't I? He was in another movie. This is George Pastel as Mehmet Bey. So again, they're taking cues from the later movies because they're more exciting the Boris Karloff movie is amazing and it is atmospheric, but it's not the most exciting mummy movie. So he's warning them, don't go in there. You're desecrating a tomb. And they just they say, piffle, I say. So, and where'd the green light come from? That's what I'm wondering. So that's, let's see. Felix Amlar is Stephen Banning, John's father, and I believe that's Raymond Huntley as Joseph Wemple, his uncle or something. Wemple. Isn't that a typically British name? So they go out and he looks up the scroll of life, the scroll of Thoth, maybe. I don't know who. And while he's telling him that, something has happened and his dad goes crazy. They decide to leave, and dumbass John Banning blows up the temple. That was not smart. Mehmet is not happy about that, which who would be? He desecrated a place of worship, I guess. But he's got the scroll of Thoth there, or whoever. And flash forward to 3 years into 1898, still 100 and not quite a, yeah, 120 years ago already. Jeez. And dad's there in the Engerfield nursing home for the mentally disordered. But he's come out of his coma and he's asking for his son, and his son, that's his son's wife there, who's played by Yvonne Furneaux as Isabel Banning, and as coincidence would have it, she's a dead ringer for Princess Ananka. It's once again something that was very much prevalent in the Universal series. There's dad telling him to beware the mummy. Our drunken comedy relief guys who are having well, it's not a pint, but they're drinking lagers or ale, which are a type of beer. Could by this time could be an IPA. They definitely weren't stouts, so of course these guys they're too drunk. One of them says he ain't drunk enough to drive, but is it driving a stagecoach if it's horses? They end up losing this box from Egypt full of artifacts, and now they're trying. It's in a swamp there, and I don't know why I put Great Karnak in there, but that's who he worships is the Great Karnak. And there's the scroll of Thoth, or somebody Thoth is the god of wisdom in Egypt. They do get some of the other ones. They mention Osiris, Anubis, the ones that were pretty well mentioned. I believe that's Thoth there with the ibis head. They do not mention Bastet or Sekhmet. They say Sektet. I don't know if that's her. She'd probably be annoyed by that or think it was funny. Depends. He brings up old Karis out of the swamp. This is a good reveal. I thought it was more dramatic than it was, but he just walks right up. I would have tried to do something a little more dynamic and startling, but you can see his eyes here. And Christopher Lee, we do see his face later on, his human face, but he does a great job of emoting with his eyes. He was very underrated as an actor because in Dracula he didn't say anything. I don't recall if he talked in the Frankenstein movies, in the horror of Dracula, that is. He did speak later on, but he did a lot without ever talking. And tall man, so we can absolve him for being in those horrendous Star Trek prequel movies because he's that great. But he goes and kills old John Banning's father because he's the one that started it all. And they're having this discussion, a very, very, very British discussion. Oh, and now we're having a flashback because they're trying to find out something. So we diddly, diddly, diddly. And there he is in all his glory as the high priest of Karnak. And there is Princess Ananka, who looks remarkably like Isabel. So, there's a lot of, they're not Egyptian. Nobody in here is Egyptian. There are Nubian, they call them Nubian slaves. And Egypt did have slaves, as we all well know, even though they probably did not wander around the desert for 40 years later because it was like a 10-mile trek to Israel. Be that as it may, they're burying her, and old Karis, the high priest Karis, is in love with her. So, and see these knives here with blood on them? They've killed the Nubian slaves. Now they're going to kill the priestesses or the whatever they are, so they can accompany Ananka into the next life. But then old Karis has another idea. He's going to bring her back to life using the scroll of Thoth. Bad idea. The priests catch him, gets his tongue pulled out, and he's sentenced to guard the... Yeah. So this is, it's not a bloody movie. There's some, a lot of implied violence, but it's not nearly as bloody as Hammer would be into the 60s when they got bloodier. and more, exploitative and provocative, shall we say. But you can tell that he's not bandaged up. He's wearing a suit. I mean, you wouldn't notice this in the movie originally. I mean, this mummy can move. He's not a slow walking, you deserve to get caught if you're being chased by the mummy dragging one foot and has one arm taped to him. This guy moves. So off he sends him. The drunk poacher here sees the mummy, goes to the bar and has another shot, and he goes and kills old Joseph Wemple there. Kaboom! See, look at those eyes. And he gets shot. Uh, John tries to stop him by shooting him, and then he tells the local constabulary, and that is Eddie Byrne as Inspector Mulrooney of Scotland Yard, don't you know? And there, once again, the scroll comes out. Oh, we're having another flashback. Diddly, diddly. And he's like, "This is nobody believes him because why would you believe a mummy was on the loose?" Another flashback. Or wait, flash forward. Let's just fade out. Sorry about that. And the old drunk tells him what's going on. Just a great shot. I mean, he's murderous. His mouth's open a little bit, so he can probably breathe. But in some of the earlier shots, it was closed. But he's, there she is saying goodnight. Look at this menacing, really excellent, really well directed. The movie runs 88 minutes, and it was distributed by Universal here in the States and internationally. And the budget was between £100,000 and £125,000. That box office that says 857,000 plus admissions in France doesn't make anything. It made money. It was released on September 25th, 1959 in the UK. Might have been probably either late that year or early in 1960. But it might be my favorite mummy movie. Might be. I do love the Universals because I saw them a lot growing up. Once again, the shotgun blasts him, and "You can't strangle me. I'm British." But then he sees Isabel, and he's like, "Whoa, that's an Anka," and he just leaves. And so she's alive. He's alive. Then she sees this drawing of her, which is, highly prescient. That how would they know what she looked like? And how would she? Why would they think she's that white? So, old Mehmet's like, "Okay, we got to kill him. That's the last thing we do because he's the survivor. He's the one that blew up your tomb." But then John goes and visits him. They have a cordial, and there's Karnak. I don't even know what he's supposed to be. He looks a little like Bullwinkle, doesn't he? There's the other Karnak. You didn't think? I'm quite sure that Svengoolie has talked about Karnak the Magnificent here. It's played by Johnny Carson. Spelled with two C's instead of two K's. Off they go. They kill the old drunk guy, the poacher. They knock out the inspector, and then go to kill John. See, once again, "You can't strangle me. I'm British." But unfortunately, Isabel has her hair up at first, but as soon as she drops it, not Karnak, but Karis is like, "I can't, okay, I'm stopping." Unfortunately, Mehmet tells him to kill her, and he puts him in the scorpion death drop. I mean, a backbreaker. Well, he breaks his back and kills him. And that does not thrill Isabel, but then she faints, he picks her up, and off they go. Back to the swamp, because that's where his coffin is. So he's not a vampire. He's a mummy. And I have not played any more of this at all. Let's see if we got a little more, because it's 2 minutes long, 2.5.
Many of their secrets are still hidden from the eyes of 20th century man. Secrets that protect their dead. Supernatural powers that once released can live again in our modern world.
So John tells Isabel to tell Karis to put her down, and he looks, and again, the eyes say everything. You've got to act through your eyes when your face is covered. And he does. He puts her down, then he realizes it, but they start just blasting him. She gets away. Apparently the swamp's not that deep. Well, it's deep enough that there he goes. It looks like Terminator 2, except for the thumbs up, kind of about this. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. The Mummy.
The Mummy, the living dead, bringing terror and death across 4,000 years.
All right, well, that's all we're going to see here because Hammer filmed, Bray Studios, and we're going to wind this up. So I hope you've enjoyed The Mummy. I really do enjoy this movie. It's quite a bit. I did get the copy that we got the pictures from, came from the Internet Archive. So once again, you can watch it anytime you want. It's from their Blu-ray disc. Looks great to me. There are more people who are a little more discerning than I am, but I think you'd be happy with it. All right, until our next assignment, which is Monday, an animated series day, and we'll be debuting the new series, and I'm looking forward to that because it's a lot of fun. So until our next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
Egypt, 4,000 years ago. A land of strange rituals and savage cruelty. Many of their secrets are still hidden from the eyes of 20th century man. Secrets that protect their dead. Supernatural powers that once released can live again in our modern world. The Mummy, the living dead, bringing terror and death across 4,000 years. He was a high priest of the great god Karnak, until one night he attempted the ultimate in blasphemy. He was condemned to guard forever the princess he had loved and protect her from intruders.
Go and destroy those who desecrated the tomb of our princess. He who robs the graves of Egypt dies. He who robs the graves of Egypt dies.